Welcome YouTube to Pawn Man. My name's Evan Kale, and I own a gold and silver business. If you guys have never seen this show before, this is a reality show about my job, my industry. It's an entertaining program. It's an educational program. I have no idea what's gonna walk through my door today. It could be anything from an ancient Roman coin to a Rolex watch. But I'll tell you guys this much, if the price is right, I'm gonna try and buy it. So strap in and prepare yourselves, because this is Pawn Man. We're gonna make the money, money. We're gonna make the money, money. Sure. Oh boy, got some graded $20 gold pieces. Awesome. So the market's down since you came here last, which of course.
Yeah, but not way down, is it?
Not way down, no, and it bounced back. Last week was bad.
Yeah, right.
If anything, it's better you came today than you
Yeah.
came last week, because last week it just got killed.
That's what I thought, too. Yeah.
It's $17.80 an ounce.
I don't know, honestly, what do you think? You should come back and sell them next year, or just go ahead and
You know, I get asked that all the time,
and
and there's so much monkey business with these markets, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I swear there is artificial manipulation at play. I can't prove it.
I
say it and parrot it all the time on social media.
I fucking agree with you.
Yeah. So, is the mold going to break here? I don't know. I think in the next 5 years they're going to have a hell of a time artificially suppressing it.
Yeah.
What this will go to, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. How are you going to pay this time?
I was just going to do a check and just have you deposit it tomorrow.
Okay.
I could do part cash again. I got $5K here. It's up to you.
Yeah, I don't really need any.
I'll give you your $5 in cash. How's that?
That's fine. Yeah, let's do that, and let's hold off on these.
Okay. Well, bummer he wouldn't sell me those St. Gaudens. So, what I could do, I could just shake my tail feather right now on Instagram and blow these out, and probably be able to blow them out pretty well. But the guy around town who I work with is paying above spot, and I would get not quite as much, but close to it. And just my luck, somebody else with as much stuff is going to walk in through the door here. So I need to keep my bank account balance up, and I'll just take the profit and get out. I bet I'll make $500 on this deal. Tell you shortly, because I'm going to call the guy right now. Fuck, he's not paying as much as I thought. Oh well, I got to do what I got to do. I'm only going to make about $300 on this deal, but whatever pays my expenses for the day. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. What am I happy with?
Am I able to get my ring appraised here?
Yeah, I'll take a look at it.
Awesome.
Oh boy, that's a big one. That is a big one. Did you buy this yourself, or was this given to you?
It was given to me.
So I'm great at grading diamonds. It's my one weaker area, but this does look like a really good stone.
Awesome.
It's about a carat. Tiny little diamonds. The little ones aren't really worth anything. It's what jewelers do when they have a crappy stone. They'll just break it apart and sprinkle
Sure.
stones they couldn't sell otherwise on it. The gold weight you're going to be disappointed with. Yeah, the gold value is only about $150, but the stone itself wholesale would be over $1,000 for sure. I'd get it insured for $3K.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Yeah, I do appraisals. Maybe she'll tell her friends. I wasn't going to charge her anything. If I was buying that ring, I probably would have offered her $900, and I bet I could have gotten 2 out of it to one of my dealers who's going to turn around and sell it at a retail price of 3 to 4 maybe. But yeah, it was a nice stone. I just went and saw my dealer and picked up some platinum and some gold, and he's doing a buy thing right now. Like I went to his event that he paid a lot of money in advertising for, and they're buying anything. So I walk in, they have a mountain. Well, here, I'll show you. Look at all these fucking Playboys I got. A whole trunk full of vintage Playboys in really good condition. I don't know about mint. I paid $2 an issue, so I paid $500 for all of these, and I bet I'll be able to sell these for minimum $10 a piece. But alas, I keep bitching about how I need to stop buying things that are gonna take me a while to move. This is definitely gonna take me a while to move, but it was just too good of a deal to pass up. $2 each. I have had success with these before. One guy traded me, I think it was 50 vintage ones for 2 ounces of silver. And I sold, out of the stack, I've sold maybe about 20%. So I made all my money back and then some. So I definitely will with this. 500 didn't seem terribly unreasonable. This was a good buy. You guys might also remember I bought a mountain of Playboys in a previous episode. I paid $2 an issue for them. This 2001 year set went out for shipping included 56 on eBay. Shipping's gonna cost me, well, I can ship it via media mail, so probably $8 or $9. eBay's taken maybe 10. So I'll make a little over 10 bucks on this, not bad. I was very surprised to discover how hot the market is for vintage Playboys. It's kind of like, if I could get that walking in all day, I could sell the hell out of that stuff. Not a huge profit margin, but hey, it's turning the wheels. Like, keep trying to experiment with new catchphrases. It's not going well. You know what this antique photograph of all these young men about to go off of World War I reminds me? Sometimes things don't end well. It's an important lesson. And to bring out the literalism of my morbid joke, I do often look at this and wonder how many of these guys came back, if any of them. Here on Pawn Man, it goes from darkly funny to gravely serious. Which is perfect because my neighbors sell tombstones, so we're a perfect pair for one another. I'll kill him with the jokes, you bury him. All right, let's see if I do any better on this Pokemon lot. I paid 1 Morgan silver dollar, a junk one, and 10 silver dimes, about $35 in value. So, okay, so far I'm doing pretty well on it. But let's see what it ends at. If it goes over 100, I'll be tickled pink. Came from a follower. It's mostly modern pieces. It comes with the book. This one's a little bit older. A lot of holographs. All right, we got 20 seconds. Bummer. I thought for sure it would go. There'd be a bid. Oh, there was a bid snipe. Look at that. Last second, somebody got it up to 90. All right, 90 out, 35 in. Yeah, this was a good deal. Am I still negative overall in Pokemon cards? I'm probably a little bit positive now. Just a little bit, not by much. Better than losing. I got 2 things to show you guys / to look at. So you guys remember a couple episodes ago, I bought a Tiffany Company sterling silver set. Thank you, Hudson Valley Pawn. They sold me this Tiffany Company set for $10.75. I got $1,800 on it. So I have to pay sales tax and I have to ship it and insure it, which is gonna cost me about 35 bucks. But when all's said and done, I'll make like $600. And that did not sound nearly as dramatic as I was hoping. Glad to see it go. And the other thing that we have to look at is I got a check for my smelter. So what happens is I buy gold, silver, things I'm gonna melt down, and I throw it in my safe, and then I contact him when the pile gets big enough. And I try to make it worth his while, because he's gotta drive all the way out here. He's not exactly close. I got $978. But that's how it works, is somebody takes it away and they melt it down and then they cut me a check. They lock in the price when they pick it up. So when he picked it up, silver was $25.53 and gold was $18.10. Gold right now is $17.50. Silver's 23 something. So I would have lost money if I would have held on to it. With these markets down too, it kind of beckons the question for me, well, should I just like buy this stuff now while it's cheap and sit on it, wait for the markets to go back up and then smelt it? The reality is I just don't have enough cash to do that. I need to keep the cash turning and I need to keep things liquid so that I can keep buying stuff. And if I sit on a bunch of stuff, I can't do that. Keep the cash turning. Golden motto.
Oh no, I love the Marquise cuts.
I can't imagine that anybody who would give these to the Goodwill.
But this doesn't look real. Doesn't look like genuine gold because I can already see a lot of tarnishing at the ends, and this turquoise rusting that happens really only happens on nickel.
Okay.
That's specifically why gold is so desirable for jewelry. It doesn't tarnish.
Yes.
I'm gonna test the gemstones real quick anyways. They look right.
Pillsbury, 20 years Burger King, 1967 to 1987. What's the story behind this?
I don't know. Another oddball piece that came my way, and again, I don't know. I don't plan on it being gold, but I just thought, you know, I've got it in my possession before I dump it. I might as well find out what it is. It's coming.
Yeah,
so she got a lot.
I'm gonna buy this as gold.
Wow. I'm impressed with her.
Pretty.
18 karat. So about 18 and 24 karat. It's very rarely faked when it's 18, but 24 is pretty much always faked. So it's good to get a second opinion.
You don't usually make jewelry out of 24, do you?
That's the purest. It's
Asian gold is like 22, but 24 is extremely rare.
I have this necklace here
soft.
that's
about that
At least
regarding Greece.
At
because
least it was in, when I was there. So it was
Yeah.
2000. So it's been over 20 years now. But what
It's
it
pure
is,
silver.
it
Well, it's
is-
not pure silver, it's 925, but yeah, it is
Yeah,
made of silver.
it's just
It's
but-
Japanese. I would guess this is post-World War II.
I would say that's worth a tad bit more than the silver.
Yeah.
I think that's a unique piece. It reminds me of one of those dividers.
Yeah, I'll pay up on this.
Room dividers.
Put this aside, we'll weigh it, and then I'll add value
Yeah.
onto it. It looks like we're at 1625.
Okay.
All right, we're kind of going through this stuff. So this last lapis piece right here, oh, this is easily $100 on eBay. This is fucking beautiful, and I just paid, I don't know, a couple bucks for it. I paid the metal weight. I measured the whole thing as if it were metal, but I'm gonna get way more than as if it were just metal. So some of the stuff I'm gonna melt down, some we're gonna keep. This is pretty, we'll keep that. Definitely keep that. Melt that, melt that. Melt this stuff, we'll keep this. This is pretty. Keep this. This is all gold. We'll probably keep this. We'll keep this
Definitely.
stuff. These chains, we're gonna see what happens. I advocate melting them down. Juliet wants to sell them.
Yeah.
We shall see. This stuff is all costume here, or plated.
We're
There's,
gonna melt that
yeah, definitely gonna melt this little deal.
and that, and this is too small to be messing with eBay fees and with shipping.
It's my birthday today, if you're wondering why I'm wearing a suit. It's my birthday suit. Isn't that funny?
That was funny.
Thank you. I needed some support today. Tell me I'm funny. Tell me I'm funny and talented. But no, this deal, this is great. This is easily $1,000 profit. Easily. I was not expecting this. We got some art coming in here. So let's take a peek. I am not an art expert by any means, but I wanted to see this stuff. Wow, beautiful. What can you tell me about this?
The artist's name is Olaf Weekhorst. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. He was Danish and had a fascination with the American West, and so he came out to the U.S. and spent a significant amount of time out in the West learning the culture, being part of the culture. And during that time, he did a lot of paintings.
Incredible. I'm gonna put on some gloves before I touch this anymore because I don't want to ruin it. I have a twofold problem. The biggest being I just don't know how long I'd have to sit on this stuff
Yeah.
and what kind of eBay fees I'd have to pay, what kind of market there is. Art is not my area, but I'm down to get anything if the price is right. You said retail on this was about $7,000 for all of them.
About 6. There's 3 of them in there that the website that had the collection was called Elegant Horse, and there's 3 of them that are at about $990 a piece.
I would do 3 of them, any 3 you wanted for $500. Let you pick them out. Because that's something where I couldn't really get hurt. It's a good experiment, and I do feel I could make some money, and if I do have to sit on it, it's not gonna hurt me.
Okay, you mean 3 of them to sell to you?
Yeah.
Well, in that case, there's, I think, the one that you would really want, if you were to try.
Wow, that's cool. Okay, these 2, and then any other one you wanted, I'd do at $500.
Well, I'm pretty open. If there is one that
If you don't mind, let me look through them.
not at all, yeah. I like, that's the one I like the most.
I think I might keep this for
As
the
far
store.
as that one, yeah.
Awesome. Well, hopefully I can sell these and we can do some more business.
That'd be sweet, yeah.
Very,
and I hope you do well on them.
You know,
I really do.
It's a crapshoot, but for number 1 for my YouTube show, this is great. Number 2, I just like this. It's cool. You know, if nothing else, I have some cool art.
All right, well, thank you very much again.
I'll see you again. Thank you. Well, that was interesting. So yeah, definitely just take a huge chance on that. From the research that I saw online, each of these is worth at least $500, and I couldn't find any single one of these ones that he brought in. So for $500, I'll take a chance on it. I really do have to stop doing this because I am gonna get burned one of these days. I'm like, as I've expressed in between the pond, my cash supply is dwindling. So, you know, I gotta stop tying up money into shit that I can't sell right away. And too much cool shit walks in here and I keep trying to say yes, make a deal, and then I end up sitting on it. Like I bought an expensive Carson City the other week that I'm still sitting on. But there's a chance that I'm gonna do really well. I don't know. So honestly though, I fucking might keep this one because I really like it and it's basically exactly what I've been looking for. I've been looking for a Western Americana piece that's native themed and this is so cool. The art is so beautiful and this for sure will appreciate in value. You know, like this alone is worth at least 500, I think. And it comes with the COA. I mean, anybody can make a COA, but this looks really legit. And it looks like it's signed by the artist. So I bought this one and then I bought this one, which I like less, but the colors are really great. Again, comes with his little COA. And then I bought this one too. What I'm gonna do is if I can sell one of these right away, I'm gonna probably call that guy back and buy the rest of them because this did seem like a good price and I feel like I'm gonna do well on these. I really do. But alas, we shall see. And I'm gonna make a TikTok to try and sell them. Try and sell these two. I don't know if I'm gonna sell that one yet. We'll see. All right, guys, for the informative part of this segment, we're gonna be talking about the Hunt family, Ukrainian immigrants Mykola and his brother Slopik. In the late 1970s, Mykola, or I should say he went by Mike Hunt and Slopik Hunt made a stinky, wet mess of the silver market. Nelson Bunker Hunt and his brother Herbert Hunt are their actual names, but I like my joke better. Anyway, the Hunt family are these old-timey billionaires. Their dad, H.L. Hunt, made his fortune in real estate, cattle, sugar, interestingly, pizza parlors. Their family owns the Kansas City Chiefs, so sports. They are a very wealthy family out of Texas. Obviously, they're still very rich to this day. Before we get into this, there's a philosophy that Nelson Bunker Hunt was a big subscriber of, and that philosophy is the silver bullet and the silver shield. And the basic idea is fiat money, paper money, is bullshit. Fuck that. Don't put your money into that, you're gonna lose your fortune. If you wanna safeguard your wealth, you put it into silver. It acts as a silver bullet against all the corruption and evil of the global economy, and it acts as a silver shield to hedge your money against inflation. So the Hunts had an arch nemesis, the Hunt family, the Rockefellers. They did not like the Rockefellers. They did not like what the Rockefellers represented. To the Hunts, they were corrupt money. They were in bed with Washington and Wall Street versus the Hunts out of Texas wanted nothing to do with that. They were huge benefactors in the early Republican Party, and frankly, Nelson Bunker Hunt, some of his principles and philosophies went on to fuel and establish the modern day Libertarian Party. Now, I've said this again and again, I'm not going anywhere near politics on this show. It's just something that's interesting, and as you see how the story unfolds, you're gonna see some libertarian principles definitely being highlighted. They also had vast oil reserves all around the world, particularly in Libya, and this will get important in a minute. Nelson Bunker Hunt in particular believed that all global currencies, all currency producing nations should back their currency by precious metal. And the fact is very few did then and even less do now. So he did not trust fiat money. And in the 1970s, he starts getting some gloom and doom ideas about the future of the global economy. He thinks some really bad stuff is coming, kind of like how I think some bad stuff is on the horizon right now. He wants to safeguard his money, and he thinks the best way to do that is to get involved with silver, precious metals, particularly silver because at the time it was illegal to own gold thanks to FDR and his 1933 law. So in the late 1960s, the Hunts, they're getting their fortune from all these different industries that they're in. They're getting a lot of money from their oil fields, particularly in Libya. They are getting $30 million a year in contracts. But in the late 60s, early 70s, things start getting really turbulent. Number one, just think of the late 60s. Think how incredibly crazy it was. It was not unfeasible to think that the whole fucking world was gonna collapse given all the violence and all the turmoil between Vietnam, things going on here domestically, the coming inflation, a lot of policies that were being created and kicked out of Washington were making people like the Hunts scared. They were afraid of socialism. So Hunt starts to realize that as the demand for silver goes up, so too does the price. And in the late 1960s, early 70s, Gaddafi, Colonel Gaddafi, or whatever the fuck he was calling himself back then, he's such an interesting dictator. He made up so many ridiculous titles for himself. He seized all of the major Western powers' oil fields. He basically just seized all of it and nationalized it for Libya, AKA he put it in his own pocket, and push came to shove, and all these major oil companies are like, well, we're not gonna send in a mercenary army to fight this guy, we'll just give him what he wants. So one by one, starting with Arm & Hammer, the oil companies caved to Gaddafi, and the Hunts are one of the last to kind of be on this line. And basically, they get put on the chopping block. They got completely hung out to dry, and the Hunts, particularly Nelson Bunker Hunt, was pissed. He viewed himself as a scapegoat that got hung out to dry while everyone else was able to get ahead of what Gaddafi did. So he screams hears bloody murder and he goes to the State Department and he tries to rectify it, and the State Department basically tells him to fuck off. And again, that doesn't do anything to strengthen his idea of the government. In 1973, Nelson Bunker Hunt reads a book called The Coming Currency Collapse by Jerome E. Smith, and it spooks the hell out of him. After reading this book, he basically comes to think that the entire global economy is gonna collapse right before his very eyes, and the only way to safeguard that is to put it into silver, because you can't put it into gold. Like I said, at the time, it's illegal to own gold. So at this time, silver's $1.50 an ounce, and he buys 200,000 ounces of it, and he watches as the price of silver doubles very shortly thereafter. In 1974, a year later, he teams up with his brother and they buy 55 million ounces of silver. But there's a big but here. He can't take all of it back to Texas because there's a state franchise tax of 5%. And he's, at this point, worried about governmental confiscation because pretty early on, word gets out about all the silver that he bought, and he's afraid. He's afraid of what the Rockefellers are gonna do. He's afraid of what the government's gonna do. He wants to get the silver out of the country. So what does he do? He organizes a shooting contest on a family ranch in Texas, and he has some of the best marksmen in the country come down, and he picks the 12 best, and he hires them to guard the silver and to transport it. It is the largest silver transport in history. Of these 55 million ounces they've acquired, they take 40 million. These cowboys are flown out on 707 jets to Chicago and New York, where there's a fleet of armored trucks waiting for them. They unload all the silver into the planes, fly them over to Switzerland, and disperse them across 6 locations. And interestingly, they make these marksmen do all the labor, which, like, if you've ever held a 100-ounce brick of silver, it's about 7 pounds, it's not light. I could not imagine having to fucking unload all these armored trucks full of silver, how the backbreaking work. Like, you know, I don't know what these guys are getting paid, but boy, they were really getting their money's worth in terms of the labor that they paid for, just making these guys do the unloading. Now, here's the problem with the storage, and the big problem with silver. It's not small. And 55 million ounces, I couldn't even imagine what that would look like. It would, you know, it would probably take up, I don't know, maybe 20 armored trucks worth. All that silver you could fit in this store. In fact, the store may not even be big enough. It's a lot of silver. Come to think of it, yeah, it'd be way bigger than the store. I can't even visualize it. But what I can tell you is just physically storing that silver was costing them $3 million a year. But they didn't care, because in 1974, the total known supply of silver in the world, like all that was out there as far as they could estimate, was about 700 million ounces. The global demand was about 450 million ounces, and the output, the actual production amount, was about 200 million. And now you have the Hunts entering the picture. You've got the Hunts gobbling up feasibly like 25% of that. So just as they imagined, the price of silver is steadily starting to rise. In 1975, the Hunts think, well, we can speed this process up. We just need a couple more rich friends. So they start looking for other people to get in on the scheme. Nelson goes to Tehran and he meets with the Shah of Iran's brother, and he meets with the finance minister of Iran. But when asked how much money he's worth, he doesn't really, he stutters. And it's because he's so used to lying about his money for tax purposes that he just is accustomed to not being honest. But I don't know if you guys have ever seen Shark Tank. When the sharks are investors and they ask you a question about your business, you better have an answer. They don't give you your money. So for that reason, they're not able to do a deal with the Iranian government or with the Shah of Iran. But they're still looking. And in 1976, they keep buying. They get 20 more million ounces, but this time they get a little bit smart about it, because at this point, the Fed is starting to sniff around with what they're doing. Word is spreading about the Hunts and their little silver cartel they're building. The Hunts had a company, Great Western United. It was part of the Hunts food division in terms of their multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. It mainly dealt in sugars. And what they did was they orchestrated this really sketchy, complicated scheme where they were gonna take this 20 million in silver, they were gonna trade it to the Philippines for sugar, the Philippines were gonna trade that to the Saudis for oil, and it was gonna create this whole big circle where they could start using silver, basically just like laundering silver, to corner other markets and just keep growing their investment. But the International Monetary Fund steps in and is like, you can't do that with silver. Like, you can't use silver trading it for sugar like a commodity, one for the other. It's just too nefarious. So this doesn't work, but they continue buying silver anyway. And in 1977, they decided to go to the source. They want to buy Sunshine Silver Mine. It's the largest silver mine in the US, and they broker a deal. They're gonna buy 28% of it, and they have a promissory note to be able to purchase the rest of it at a later date. But because of what they're doing, the price of silver is rising so fast that just a year later, this deal doesn't make sense, and it just dissolves. All the money, they basically sell it back to the company. or the board. They also start doing some other sketchy stuff because they're putting so much money into this scheme that even though they're billionaires, they're like, their cash supply is not great. So they create this sketchy scheme to buy soybeans, and at the time you could only buy 3 million, I think it was 3 million bushels worth of soybean per private trader. But they get a bunch of people in on their family to do it, and they successfully do this like manipulative thing with soybeans where they just end up making $40 million. By the late 1970s, the Hunt family has an estimated fortune of $6 to $8 billion. And in 1978, the Hunts meet these two Saudi sheiks, and they form International Metals Investment out of Bermuda a year later in 1979. Now, forming it out of Bermuda, what does that tell you? This is the vehicle they start using now to purchase all their silver because, again, the Fed is really starting to look at them sideways now. Meanwhile, you have silver really starting to rise and starting to rise quickly and starting to react to things going on in the world. Like, for example, the week that Russia invaded Afghanistan, silver went up from $24 an ounce to $36 in 1 week. But that comes later. Most of the 1970s, silver stayed under 15 an ounce, but then toward the end of the 1970s, it starts rising really fast, like really fast. October 1979, the Fed really steps in. The Chicago Board of Trade said that nobody could hold more than $3 million worth of silver contracts. And they said all contracts had to be liquidated by February of 1980. It's anti-inflammatory measures because the Fed is really worried now about what the Hunts are doing, how they've been doing this scheme for years. The flowers of it are really starting to bloom. The Hunts had acquired most of their silver for an average of $10 an ounce. They had about 1.5 billion into silver at the height of it, but it was worth 4.5 billion. So the scheme made them $3 billion. So Nelson Bunker Hunt, though, is crying bloody murder at the Fed. He says, you're all corrupt. You all are in on this. You all have options against silver. I'm costing you money. That's why you're coming after me. And frankly, he's right. There was a lot of corruption. A lot of people did want to stop him because it was costing them money. A lot of people that were in the government. Meanwhile, he doesn't stop. He continues buying more and more even as the government is lining up against him. December 31st, 1979, silver's over $34 an ounce. And he has hundreds of millions of ounces of silver at this point. Fast forward 17 days later, January 17th, 1980, silver is just under $50 an ounce. But this is where the Chicago Mercantile Exchange steps in and basically everything collapses really quick. They changed their rules to only allow 10 million ounces of silver contracts per trader, and it all had to be liquidated the next month. Meaning if you're buying more silver contracts, you have to liquidate them like within a month. And then very shortly after, COMEX suspends trading for all silver except to liquidate. As a result of this, silver drops $10 an ounce real quick to 39. But what do the Hunts do? They buy 26 million more ounces of silver. However, silver at this point, it enters free fall. And the Hunts are looking for more people to help them buy, and it's just too risky and they can't find anyone. By March 14th, it's $21 an ounce. And Hunt runs out of cash. Simple as that. Enter what is known as Silver Thursday, March 27th. Hunt has nowhere to go. He's out of money. And on top of that, he's paying like $10 million a day on his margin calls. And because silver's in free fall, he's just bleeding money. He hits a point where he has $90 million in one of his accounts. And it's like the next day, you're going to be out of money. So he just calls up his broker and he liquidates it. And like I said, Silver Thursday, silver drops again. Goes from $15.80 an ounce to $10.80 an ounce. It drops 30% in a day. So when this is all said and done, Nelson Bunker Hunt owes $1.5 billion. He has 158 million ounces of silver left over. But this whole scheme just went belly up like very fast. He needs a bailout, and he needs a bailout because his fortune is he's risked everything for this, and people are worried that it's going to be similar to the panic of 1907, where the Hunts going bankrupt is going to cause a ripple domino effect in the market that's going to cause widespread chaotic problems. They need a bailout. So the Hunt family has to put up $8 billion in collateral. The banks loan them $1.1 billion. In 1988, Nelson Bunker Hunt files for personal bankruptcy. He leaves bankruptcy court a year later with an estimated net worth of $5 to $10 million. On top of that, he owes the IRS $90 million. He's got to pay it back over 15 years. He finally does pay it back in 2003. Now, don't feel bad for him because Daddy left him a $200 million trust. So it's not like he went actually belly up here. Plus $5 to $10 million is a lot of money anyway. But the scheme, at one point, if he could have cashed out and he hadn't run into this problem of running out of money, then this would have been a $3 billion+ profit venture. Unfortunately, with the nature of his scheme, if he would have dumped everything at once, he would have fucked the price and he would have shit the bed. So really, he was trapped into his own scheme. There was nothing he could do to get out, and although he enjoyed riding a wave up, once he hit the top, there was no off button on that ride. Now, since then, no one has ever attempted to do this again. I think they look at what he did as a cautionary tale. Frankly, he should have known what was gonna happen, that he was gonna run out of money, or that he was gonna run into difficulties like this, because like, if you just look at the scheme laid out itself, and it's almost unfair to call it a scheme, because it wasn't just that. He wasn't just doing this to get rich quick. He legitimately believed there was a economic disaster on the horizon, which never came true. But were it not for the corrupt factors at play, or were it not for the fact that he just didn't quite understand the nature of his own beast, this could have made their family a lot of money. But alas, he could not. And that is the story of the Hunts. And that's the magic. Nope. Not after, I've filmed this this is my 3rd time filming this. And the passion in telling the story has dwindled every time. So I'm just glad to get the segment done. Okay, moving on. Well, just like that is the end of the day and the end of the episode. If you guys like this video, be sure you give it a thumbs up, hit that notification button so you know when new videos of Pawn Man are coming out. Follow me on social media at Evan Kale and at Pawn Man. Get my books, post your questions in the comments below, and I will see you guys back here for another episode of Pawn Man. Later, guys.